Hello everyone, my name is Robin and today I will be talking about open science research. While open scholarship practices are growing in popularity, their widespread adoption has not been achieved. This is something that is mentioned in the article that we are looking at today. This article tries to make a case for open science by reviewing literature that demonstrates the benefits of open science. I will be quickly going through the long list of arguments presented by the authors for making a case for open science. I will also be sharing some helpful links to websites and other resources from the article in the description. Alright, so this is a quick overview of the benefits listed out by the authors. They take a researcher-centered approach in the article talking about the benefits from the point of view of a researcher. They also address some common myths that researchers might have about open science practices. So the arguments will be divided into four broad areas and we will go through each of these in the video. Please feel free to jump to any one of these if you want to. Starting with the publishing aspect, the first positive point of publishing openly is that it can help you get more citations, something that all researchers strive for. The article provides examples of many studies from the literature which identify that publishing openly corresponds to better citation rates on average. Some of them are here on your screen. As you can see, the benefits of getting more citations from publishing openly are quite significant. The authors also identify that the size of the advantage of publishing openly is often dependent on the discipline as well, as you can see in this graphic from the article, which shows bigger advantage for fields like agriculture studies, astronomy and medicine as compared to ecology, biology or communication studies. Moving on to the second advantage related to publishing openly is that open publications are more likely to get media coverage, which corresponds to knowledge mobilization of researchers' work. One way for researchers to gain visibility is for their publications to be shared on social media, covered by mainstream media outlets, and there is evidence that publishing articles openly can help researchers get noticed. Here again are a few studies and surveys that from the article that discuss about open publications getting more media coverage. Moving on, another aspect of publishing and something that is very important to authors is that of impact factor, a metric which holds a lot of value and prestige. For those viewers who might not know what is the impact factor is a number that is associated with a journal. It is based on a 2-year period and involves dividing the number of times articles were cited by the number of articles published or that were citable in a journal. It is used to measure the importance or rank of a journal. The authors argue that impact factor is actually a proxy metric to evaluate researchers' work, and that is a flawed metric that correlates poorly with the scientific quality of individual articles. But because the real world picture is that impact factor is a strong variable and that researchers take into consideration while choosing a journal, the article talks about how impact factor of open access journals has been improving lately. And in order to encourage researchers to publish in open access journals, there is a useful tool shared by the authors that it's in the description as well, which is called the Cofactor Journal Selector tool. It allows authors to search for open access journals with an impact factor in their field. So please go ahead and look for journals from your field that are open access and you can choose to publish there. Next, we talk about another myth associated with open access journals, that they might not have rigorous and transparent peer review processes. But unlike most subscription journals, several open access journals have open and transparent peer review processes. And some journals even offer reviewers the opportunity to sign their reviews and offer authors the option to publish the full peer review history alongside their articles. And this practice is very useful, as some studies suggest open peer review may produce reviews of higher quality, including better substantiated claims and more constructive criticisms compared to closed review. This is also because transparent peer review processes are linked to measures of quality. But the issue of quality peer review is not something which is specific to open access journals only. This is something that is present in many non-open access journals as well. Subscription journals have not been immune to problems with peer review, and authors identify that there has been no controlled study comparing peer review in open access versus subscription journals. Alright, now we talk about some actions that you researchers can take to support open science. First one is that you can publish wherever you want, many times, even in subscription journals, and archive openly. Authors may provide open access to their papers by posting them as preprints prior to formal peer review and journal publications. There are several archival preprint servers that cover different subject areas, and you can find the list of those servers in the article from the description in the video. In addition to that, authors can also archive articles on open platforms after publication in traditional journals. This is something which is called postprints. The list of academic journals that allow preprint policy is in the description, and the Sherpa Romeo list also contains those journals that allow open archiving in postprint as well. And finally, one key tip that the authors mention is that if the journal in which authors publish does not formally support self-archiving, authors can submit an author addendum that allows them to retain rights to post a copy of their article in an open repository. So this is something that researchers might want to try as well. Another way of keeping control of your work is by publishing openly. Authors can simply choose to publish in open access journals under the Creative Commons copyright law. And under this law, authors retain copyright and simply grant non-exclusive reuse rights to publishers as well as other users. Moreover, Creative Commons licenses require attribution, so it's not legally possible for someone to just use your work without giving you credit. In fact, this aspect, which allows authors to receive credit for their work, might help them accumulate citations. Many schools and universities around the world are in fact adopting these practices, the practice of open access publishing. And here is another advantage of publishing in open access journals. Authors can publish for low or no cost, as many open access journals charge low or no article processing charges. The article acknowledges that high cost is something that is associated with publishing in many journals, open access or subscription based. A majority of open access publishers charging higher publication fees offer waivers upon request for authors with financial constraints. Again, there are two important tools from the article in the description that can help researchers find no-fee open access journals for all fields. One is IronFactor and the other one is the Cofactor Journals Editor tool that we mentioned previously as well. Moving on to the aspects associated with funding, the article shares a few awards and special funding opportunities that support open science. We have 3 of them on the slide here as well and a few more in the article. The objective is to convey that there might be direct funding opportunities out there that promote open science. And in addition to that, there are funding institutions and organizations that have adopted open sharing mandates on data and articles as well. Hence, not only preferring but mandating open sharing of research. Two databases that can help researchers check article data sharing policies of funders and publishers are Sherpa Julie and BioSharing. These links are also in the description. Now talking about other compelling reasons to share, open science provides documentation and reproducibility benefits. Some of the benefits listed in the article are that it ensures preservation and accessibility of that content in the future, both for one's own access and for others. Second, this can have substantial benefits in the long term, such as clear documentation of key products of the research. And data sharing also leads to more citations as well, which has been identified in numerous studies and surveys. And importantly, one key thing that needs to be considered here, which might be overlooked by citation studies, is that many datasets and software packages are published as standalone outputs that are not associated with the paper, but may be widely used, and they are a valid and significant contribution to the scientific community. And there is growing acknowledgement of the fact that they are also first-class scholarly outputs. Finally, talking about career advancement opportunities, open science practices provide opportunities for researchers to find new projects and collaborators. This can be associated with the fact that since there are higher rates of citation and visibility in the media, it is fairly safe to assume that it can lead to new collaborations. The article discusses a few examples of large-scale projects and collaborations that have been fruitful because scientists adopted open science practices. And then the institutional support and recognition for researchers engaging in open science is also increasing, with many US institutions implementing policies. One significant step in this direction has been the SF-DORA, the San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment Declaration, that recommends that institutions cease using all journal-level metrics, including the impact factor, to evaluate research promotion and tenure decisions, and focus on research content instead. So the article concludes by acknowledging the fact that in order to draw and attract more researchers and to identify benefits and to bust myths about open science, there is a need to generate more evidence. And then it recommends some practices that institutions and universities might adopt, like offering badges that identify open science practices, implementing policies around pre-registration of research design to promote a transparent methodology of research, and introducing these practices in graduate programs to educate early researchers about these ideas and open science. Yes, so that was it. This was an overview of the benefits of open science from a research-centered point of view as described in the article. I hope this was worth your time. Thank you.